Did you know that 75% of women admit to experiencing nice girl syndrome at some point in their lives? Quite a staggering statistic, isn't it? But what exactly is this nice girl syndrome we're talking about? Well, it's a condition where women feel an overwhelming need to be excessively nice and accommodating, often at the expense of their own needs, desires, and feelings. Picture this. You're always the one making compromises, always the one saying yes even when you want to say no, always the one putting others' needs before your own. You're the perpetual people pleaser, the ever-accommodating friend, the constant peacekeeper. Sound familiar? If it does, then you, my friend, may be a victim of the nice girl syndrome. This phenomenon isn't just about being a good person or having a kind heart. It's about a deeply ingrained pattern of behavior that often stems from societal expectations, cultural conditioning, and personal insecurities. It's about the constant pressure to conform to an idealized version of femininity that values politeness, agreeableness, and selflessness above all else. The nice girl syndrome can have far-reaching implications. It can lead to feelings of resentment, burnout, and low self-esteem. It can affect personal relationships, career growth, and overall mental health. And let's not forget, it can also turn off potential partners who might perceive this excessive niceness as a lack of authenticity or a sign of desperation. But here's the thing. Being nice is not a bad thing. Not at all. It's a beautiful trait that makes the world a better place. The problem arises when being nice crosses the line into self-neglect and self-deprecation, when it becomes a mask that hides your true self, when it dictates every decision you make, every word you say, every step you take. So, are you ready to break free from the shackles of the nice girl syndrome? Are you ready to reclaim your voice, your power, your identity? It's time to delve into the lives of real women dealing with this syndrome. Let's uncover the truth behind the nice girl facade, and let's find a way to overcome this self-defeating pattern of behavior. Because remember, being true to yourself is the nicest thing you can ever do. Scene script. Meet Jane. She's a successful businesswoman, but her personal life is a different story. Jane is the epitome of a modern woman. She's climbed the corporate ladder with tenacity and determination, breaking glass ceilings along the way. However, in her personal life, she struggles with what we call the nice girl syndrome. Jane has always been a people pleaser, someone who puts others' needs before her own. She believes that being nice equates to being liked and accepted. But this has led her down a path of self-neglect and low self-esteem. She often finds herself in relationships where she's more of a caretaker than a partner. She struggles to assert her needs, often brushing them aside in favor of her partners. She's the one making compromises, the one always saying sorry, the one always giving and seldom receiving. And this isn't just limited to her romantic relationships. Even in her friendships, she's the one always ready to lend a helping hand, often at the cost of her own well-being. She's the friend who will drop everything to be there for others, but often finds herself alone when she needs support. This constant cycle of giving and not receiving has taken a toll on Jane. She often feels unappreciated, undervalued, and unseen. Her self-esteem has plummeted, and she struggles with feelings of worthlessness. It's almost as if she's lost her identity in the process of being nice. And the saddest part? Jane believes that she's the problem, that she's not good enough, that she needs to be even nicer, even more giving. But the truth is, it's not her. It's the nice girl syndrome. Jane's story is a clear example of how the nice girl syndrome can affect not just your relationships, but also your self-esteem and overall well-being. It's a vicious cycle that can be hard to break, but it's not impossible. Jane's story is not unique, as our next case will show. Lisa, a school teacher, has always been praised for her kindness, but it's not always a good thing. Meet Lisa. Like many of us, she grew up believing that being nice was the golden rule. Be kind, be polite, be agreeable, and the world will smile back at you. But as she navigated through life, she began to realize that it's not always sunshine and rainbows. As a teacher, Lisa was a crowd favorite. Her students loved her colleagues admired her, and parents respected her. She was the epitome of a nice girl, always going above and beyond to help others, even at the expense of her own well-being. But this nice girl image had its pitfalls. Lisa noticed she was often taken advantage of. She was expected to work overtime without compensation, handle extra assignments without complaints, and mediate conflicts that were beyond her job description. Her kindness was seen as a weakness, and her agreeableness was taken for granted. Outside the school, Lisa's nice girl syndrome played out in her personal relationships too. She found herself in toxic relationships, where her partners expected her to be the peacekeeper, the nurturer, and the one to make sacrifices. She was expected to accept less than she deserved, all in the name of being nice. The nice girl image was draining Lisa emotionally, physically, and mentally. She was left feeling unfulfilled, undervalued, and stuck in a cycle of self-sacrifice. She realized that her kindness was being mistaken for weakness, and her generosity was being exploited. Lisa's story is not unique. Many women find themselves in similar situations, trapped in the nice girl syndrome and struggling to break free. It's a deep-seated issue that goes beyond just being nice. It's about setting boundaries, standing up for oneself, and learning to say no without feeling guilty. As you can see, nice girl syndrome can affect anyone, regardless of their profession or lifestyle. It's a wake-up call to all the nice girls out there. It's time to stop being nice at your own expense. It's time to start putting yourself first. Being too nice can have serious repercussions, affecting women's mental health and relationships. Now, that may sound counterintuitive. After all, isn't being nice a virtue? Well, yes, kindness is indeed a virtue, but there's a fine line between being kind and being a pushover, or, as we're discussing today, a nice girl. The nice girl syndrome refers to a pattern of behavior where a woman constantly puts others' needs before her own, to the point where it negatively impacts her well-being. It's about suppressing your own desires, opinions, and emotions to avoid conflict or to please others. It's not about genuine kindness or empathy. It's about fear and insecurity. One of the most significant dangers of nice girl syndrome is the toll it takes on self-esteem. When you're constantly prioritizing other people's needs over your own, you send a subconscious message to yourself that your needs, your desires, and your happiness are less important. Over time, this can lead to feelings of worthlessness or low self-esteem. Another danger is the feeling of unfulfillment. If you're always bending over backward to accommodate others, when do you have the time or energy to pursue your own goals and dreams? The constant self-sacrifice can lead to a life that feels unfulfilled and lackluster. Lastly, nice girl syndrome can strain your relationships. It might seem like constantly agreeing and avoiding conflict would make for smooth relationships, but in reality, it can breed resentment. When you're always the one making sacrifices, it can lead to feelings of being taken advantage of. Moreover, relationships thrive on authenticity, and if you're constantly suppressing your true feelings, it can create a disconnect. Now, this is not to say that you should stop being nice. No, kindness is essential, but it's about finding a balance, about being kind to yourself as well as to others. It's about setting boundaries, asserting yourself, and remembering that your needs and feelings are just as important as anyone else's. But don't worry, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Breaking free from nice girl syndrome is possible, and it starts with setting boundaries. This is a powerful statement that signifies the start of a journey toward self-assertion and self-care. Overcoming nice girl syndrome is not about becoming a villain, but about learning to prioritize your needs and asserting yourself. It's about changing the narrative from being a people pleaser to becoming a self-advocate. One successful strategy is setting boundaries. It's essential to understand that it's okay to say no. Saying no doesn't mean you're unkind or selfish. It means you respect your time, energy, and mental health. It's about recognizing that your needs are just as important as anyone else's. Asserting oneself is another crucial factor. Often, nice girls feel they have to agree with everyone to avoid conflict, but it's important to remember that it's okay to have and voice your own opinion. It's okay to disagree. You're not responsible for everyone's happiness, and it's not your duty to keep everyone around you comfortable at your own expense. Prioritizing your own needs is the third strategy. Nice girls often put everyone else's needs before their own. However, it's critical to understand that self-care is not selfishness. You need to take care of yourself first to be able to take care of others. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself, whether it's time for relaxation, pursuing a hobby, or simply doing something you love. It's important to recognize that your happiness and well-being are paramount. Overcoming nice girl syndrome can lead to a healthier, more balanced life. You'll find that relationships become more genuine when they're not based on the premise of pleasing others. You'll discover the strength in your voice and the value of your boundaries. Remember, it's not about being mean. It's about respecting and taking care of yourself. It's about knowing your worth and not allowing it to be diminished. It's about finding the balance between kindness and self-preservation. It's about time you broke free from the nice girl syndrome and embraced the powerful, assertive, and self-respecting individual you truly are. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, we have more insightful content in store for you. Subscribe to our channel to stay updated and gain the knowledge and tools to empower yourself. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms for updates and additional resources. We appreciate your time and support, and we're glad to be a part of your journey towards self-assertion and self-care. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. We're here to help. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay empowered.